Hey everyone, welcome to Minovo. Today we are diving into something you've probably heard about inflation. Most people think that inflation is always bad, but what if I told you that it can be good sometimes? So, inflation means the general increase in prices over time. When inflation happens, the money in your pocket buys you less than before. For example, if a sandwich cost $5 last year and now it costs $5.50, that's 10% inflation. And economists measure the inflation rate in percentage and they use tools like Consumer Price Index or CPI in short. So, what causes inflation? First, we have demand pull inflation. This happens when a lot of people want to buy things but the supply doesn't increase fast enough. Second, there is cost push inflation, and this happens when production costs like wages, oil prices, or infrastructure prices rise. So, businesses raise their prices as well. Third, inflation can come from the government or central bank as monetary inflation, like when they print more money or lower interest rates, increasing the money supply. A real life example is during the COVID, governments gave stimulus checks to people. Demand went up, but supply chains were stuck, so prices rose. Okay, isn't inflation a bad thing? Inflation makes things more expensive, and that sounds bad. And yes, high inflation is definitely harmful. It can hurt people's savings, make it harder to plan ahead, and raise the cost of living. But here is the plot twist: not all inflation is bad. Economists actually believe that a moderate level of inflation can help an economy grow. How? Let's take a closer look. When prices rise, businesses earn more revenue. That's because they are selling their products at higher prices. And when businesses earn more, they often want to produce more. And to do that, they need more workers. So they start hiring. That's why inflation can actually reduce unemployment in the short run. It gives businesses a reason to grow, and that growth creates jobs. There is even economists there is even a graph that economists use to explain this, and it's called Phillips Curve. It shows a short-term trade-off between inflation and employment. On the graph, as inflation goes up, unemployment goes down. Of course, this trade-off doesn't last forever. In the long run, other factors like productivity and expectations matter more. But in the short run, especially during a crisis, some inflation can actually help reduce joblessness. There is even a real life example to this, and it's called the Obama stimulus. So, in 2008 and in 2009, as we know, there was a financial crisis in US. So the US economy was in trouble. Unemployment was over 10%. President Barack Obama launched a major stimulus package, more government spending, tax cuts, and support to businesses. This increased demand, led to some inflation, and most importantly, helped reduce unemployment. Over the next few years, the economy recovered and jobless rates dropped steadily. So, final takeaway is that inflation is not always a villain and it's not an enemy. A controlled level of inflation, not too high and not too low, can be a sign of growing and healthy economy. It can help reduce unemployment, encourage businesses to expand, and boost overall production. The key is balance. Too much inflation is dangerous, but zero inflation isn't the goal either. What we want is just enough to keep the economy moving forward. So, it's the end now, and thanks for watching Minovo. If you learned something new today, consider subscribing or leaving a comment. See you in the next explainer.